Our colleagues, Ken Delaney and Vaughn Hilliard, are covering this developing story since we've been on the air, and I want to share this update to their reporting. They report that Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino is considering leaving his job after this heated confrontation with Attorney General Pam Bondi over his frustration with how the Justice Department has handled the Jeffrey Epstein files.
Attorney General Pam Bondi is absolutely exploding right now under pressure from every direction. Federal judges are slamming her handling of cases. Congress is threatening to use a rarely used power to fine her every single day until she complies with subpoenas for Epstein files. And former Justice Department officials just signed a public letter accusing her of destroying the Civil Rights Division. This isn't just one problem. This is the entire system pushing back on Bondi's aggressive tactics all at once. One judge's order combined with a looming House inherent contempt plan over her refusal to fully release Epstein files, plus earlier courtroom rebukes over politicized prosecutions, have created a narrative that Bondi's legal strategy is blowing up in her face. And here's what makes this absolutely devastating. These aren't partisan attacks. This is a bipartisan pair of lawmakers threatening contempt. This is federal judges ordering prosecutors to rein in her public statements. This is former DOJ officials who work there saying she's weaponized the department. The pressure is coming from every side, and Bondi is crumbling under it. But before we go any further, real quick, let's be honest, you can't really trust mainstream media anymore. That's why we built John Brown's show to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want to stay ahead of the headlines, please subscribe, because you might think you are, but aren't. Your subscription actually matters here. All right, let's get into what's actually happening. On December 21st, 2025, reporting said lawmakers are threatening to use Congress's inherent contempt power to fine Bondi every day she fails to fully comply with subpoenas for Epstein files. Every single day. Think about what that means. Congress can impose daily fines directly without going through the Justice Department, without needing Bondi's own DOJ to prosecute her. This is Congress acting alone. And here's who's behind it. A bipartisan pair of House members, Republican Thomas Massie and Democrat Ro Khanna. They've drafted a contempt resolution targeting Bondi for stonewalling the full release of Epstein documents. Republican and Democrat, working together against Trump's Attorney General. That's how serious this is. Now let me bring the receipts on why this inherent contempt power is so dangerous for Bondi. Because it bypasses the courts, requires only a simple House majority to pass. Not a criminal referral that Bondi's DOJ could ignore. Not a civil lawsuit that takes years. Direct action by Congress. Fine her every day until she complies. And the reason they're doing this? Bondi released only partial records from the Epstein files. Despite the Epstein Files Transparency Act requiring full release. Despite Trump himself signing that law. Bondi is stonewalling, holding back documents, and Massie and Khanna are saying enough. Release everything or pay the price. Make sure you're subscribed, because here's the second bombshell hitting Bondi right now. Former Justice Department officials signed a public letter this month accusing Bondi of destroying the Civil Rights Division, not weakening it, destroying it. How? By dropping or reversing cases started under Biden. By pursuing prosecutions critics say were politically driven in service of Trump. These are people who worked at DOJ, career professionals, and they're publicly saying Bondi has gutted the mission of the department, that she's weaponized it to serve Trump rather than pursue justice equally. Notice what's happening here. Bondi isn't just facing pressure from Congress, she's facing condemnation from the people who know how DOJ is supposed to work, who dedicated careers to that mission, and they're saying she's betraying it. Share this video with everyone, because here's the third bombshell. A federal judge ordered prosecutors to explain and rein in Bondi's public attacks on defendants, warning that her comments risk poisoning juries and undermining defendants' right to a fair trial. Think about how serious that is. A federal judge is telling the Attorney General to shut up, to stop making public statements about defendants before their trials, because those statements could prejudice juries, could violate constitutional rights. The judge specifically cited Bondi's attacks on a migrant smuggling defendant and other Trump targets, and warned that she's creating an environment where these people can't get fair trials. That's not normal criticism. That's a judge saying the Attorney General is threatening the integrity of the justice system. Now let me show you why all of this is hitting Bondi simultaneously, because each pressure point connects to the others. The Epstein files stonewalling shows she's protecting powerful figures at the expense of transparency for victims. The politicized prosecutions show she's targeting Trump's enemies while shielding his allies. The public attacks on defendants show she's willing to violate fair trial rights to score political points. It's a pattern, and judges, Congress, and former officials are all documenting it, all pushing back on it, all at the same time. Notice what Bondi's earlier posture was. She blasted judges for blocking Trump's executive orders. She hinted that the Supreme Court should rein in lower courts. She took this aggressive confrontational approach, and now it's backfiring. The judges are pushing back through court orders. Congress is pushing back through contempt threats. Former officials are pushing back through public condemnation. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, because here's what the inherent contempt power actually means. Congress hasn't used this tool in decades. It's aggressive, it's rarely deployed, but it's constitutional, and it works by Congress acting directly. The House passes a resolution. The Sergeant at Arms enforces it. Fines get imposed daily until compliance. No need for DOJ to prosecute, no need for courts to intervene. Congress acts alone, and that's why it's so dangerous for Bondi, because she controls DOJ. If Congress referred her for criminal contempt, her own department would have to prosecute her, which obviously wouldn't happen. But inherent contempt bypasses that problem. Congress doesn't need her cooperation, doesn't need her permission, just needs a simple majority vote, and then the fines start, every day, until she releases the full Epstein files. Now let's talk about what's actually in those Epstein files that Bondi is refusing to release, because the Transparency Act required disclosure of all unclassified materials. Trump signed that law. Congress passed it with overwhelming bipartisan support. The deadline was clear, and Bondi missed it. When files finally started coming out, they were heavily redacted. Names were blacked out, entire documents were withheld, and watchdog groups started noticing patterns. Documents mentioning Trump seemed to be getting special treatment, more likely to be redacted, more likely to be withheld, and whistleblowers started coming forward saying they'd been instructed to handle Trump references with extra care. Share this with everyone, because here's what Massey and Khanna are saying. Release everything. Stop protecting powerful figures. Give the victims and the public the transparency they deserve. And if Bondi won't do it voluntarily, Congress will force her through daily fines. Now let me bring the receipts on what former DOJ officials are accusing Bondi of. They say she destroyed the Civil Rights Division. How? By dropping cases that protected voting rights, by reversing prosecutions of police departments for civil rights violations, by abandoning investigations into discrimination, all cases that Biden's DOJ had started, all cases that served justice rather than political interests, and Bondi killed them, and then she started pursuing new prosecutions. Cases that critics say are politically motivated, going after Trump's enemies, targeting people Trump has attacked on social media, using DOJ as a weapon against political opponents. That's what former officials are saying. People who work there, who know how it's supposed to function, and they're publicly condemning what Bondi is doing. Notice what the federal judge said about Bondi's public statements. The judge ordered prosecutors to explain and rein in her attacks on defendants. That's extraordinary. Judges don't typically tell attorneys general to stop talking. But this judge saw Bondi's public comments as such a threat to fair trials that intervention was necessary. The warning was clear. Your statements are poisoning juries. You're creating an environment where defendants can't get fair trials. You're undermining constitutional rights. Stop it. Make sure you're subscribed to John Brown Show, because here's why this all matters. Bondi promised during her confirmation to be a tough prosecutor, to go after what she called monsters, to pursue justice aggressively, but now we're seeing the selective nature of that promise. She's aggressive against Trump's enemies, makes public attacks on them that judges say violate their rights. But when it comes to releasing Epstein files that might implicate Trump or his allies, she stonewalls. When it comes to continuing civil rights cases that don't serve Trump's agenda, she drops them. That's not equal justice, that's weaponized prosecution. And the system is finally pushing back. Now let's talk about the timeline of how this is developing. December 21st, Massey and Khanna announced they're drafting the inherent contempt resolution. The threat is public. Bondi knows it's coming. Early January 2026, the resolution could come to a vote. Simple majority needed. If it passes, daily fines begin immediately. Bondi faces a choice: release the full files or pay escalating penalties. And here's what makes this so dangerous for her. If she releases the files, she might expose information that damages Trump, information she's been protecting. But if she doesn't release them, she faces daily fines, financial pressure, public condemnation for defying Congress. Either way, she loses. Share this video because here's what the judge's order about her public statements means practically. Bondi has to be careful now about what she says publicly. Can't just attack defendants on TV or social media without risking more judicial rebukes. Can't poison jury pools without judges stepping in. Her aggressive public posture is constrained. The tool she's been using to serve Trump's political interests is being limited by courts, and that reduces her effectiveness as Trump's attack dog. Now let me show you what former officials mean when they say Bondi destroyed the Civil Rights Division. That division has historically protected voting rights, prosecuted discrimination, held police departments accountable for civil rights violations. It's been a critical part of DOJ's mission, and according to these former officials, Bondi has gutted it, dropped the important cases, reversed the investigations, abandoned the mission, all to serve Trump's political agenda rather than pursue equal justice. Notice the contrast that's emerging. Bondi promises to punish monsters in cases that serve Trump politically, goes after his enemies aggressively, makes public attacks despite judicial warnings. But when it comes to transparency about Epstein files involving powerful figures, she protects them, stonewalls Congress, refuses full release. That selective approach is what's causing the collapse, because judges see it, Congress sees it, former officials see it, and they're all pushing back simultaneously. Make sure you stay subscribed, because here's what happens if the inherent contempt resolution passes. The sergeant at arms enforces it. Daily fines get imposed, the amount escalates over time, and Bondi faces mounting financial pressure until she complies. She can't just ignore it, can't have her DOJ dismiss it. Congress acts independently, and the fines keep coming every single day. Now let's talk about the political implications. Bondi is Trump's hand-picked attorney general, chosen specifically to be loyal, to pursue his agenda, to protect his interests, and now she's becoming a central character in a clash between Congress, courts, and a Justice Department accused of being weaponized. That puts Trump in a difficult position. If he defends Bondi too aggressively, he looks like he's protecting someone who's stonewalling Epstein files, who's violating defendants' rights, who's destroying DOJ's mission. But if he doesn't defend her, she's isolated, facing pressure from all sides without political support. Either way, it's bad for Trump. Notice what the bipartisan nature of the Massey-Khanna resolution means. This isn't just Democrats attacking a Republican attorney general. This is a Republican and a Democrat working together, saying the stonewalling of Epstein files is unacceptable regardless of party. That makes it harder for Trump to claim this is partisan persecution, harder to dismiss it as political attacks. Share this with everyone, because here's the fundamental question. Can Bondi's aggressive Trump-aligned tactics survive simultaneous pressure from courts, Congress, and former officials? Courts are rebuking her public statements, ordering her to rein in attacks on defendants, warning about poisoned juries. Congress is threatening inherent contempt, daily fines until she releases Epstein files, bypassing her control of DOJ. Former officials are publicly condemning her, accusing her of destroying the Civil Rights Division, weaponizing prosecutions. All of this is hitting at once, and Bondi is collapsing under the weight. Now let me bring the receipts on why the Epstein files fight is so critical, because those files contain information about powerful people, about their connections to a convicted sex trafficker, about potentially criminal conduct, and the public deserves to know. Victims deserve transparency. Congress passed a law requiring it. Trump signed that law. But Bondi is blocking it, releasing only partial records, heavily redacting documents, protecting powerful figures, and Congress is saying enough. Release everything or face the consequences. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because here's what makes the collapse so complete. Bondi isn't just facing one problem. She's facing a coordinated pushback from multiple institutions: the judiciary through court orders, the legislature through contempt threats, former executive branch officials through public condemnation. Each pressure point reinforces the others. Each criticism adds to the narrative that Bondi has weaponized DOJ, that she serves Trump rather than justice, that she protects the powerful while attacking the vulnerable. And that narrative is becoming undeniable. The bottom line is this: Pam Bondi is collapsing after a judge dropped a bombshell ordering prosecutors to rein in her public attacks on defendants, warning that her statements risk poisoning juries and undermining fair trial rights. Congress is threatening to use inherent contempt power to fine her every day she fails to fully comply with Epstein file subpoenas. A bipartisan pair, Republican Thomas Massie and Democrat Ro Khanna, drafted a resolution that would bypass courts and require only a simple House majority. Former Justice Department officials signed a public letter accusing Bondi of destroying the Civil Rights Division, dropping Biden-era cases, and pursuing politically driven prosecutions in service of Trump. The inherent contempt threat is the first bombshell. Daily fines until compliance. Stonewalling the full Epstein release is the accusation. Bypassing courts and requiring only simple majority is what makes it dangerous. The judicial rebuke is the second bombshell. Judge ordering prosecutors to explain and rein in Bondi's attacks, warning about poisoned juries and violated constitutional rights. The former official's condemnation is the third bombshell. Destroyed Civil Rights Division through dropped cases and politicized prosecutions, all three hitting simultaneously, creating the collapse. Bondi blasted judges for blocking Trump's orders. Suggested Supreme Court should rein in lower courts. That confrontational posture is now backfiring in rulings and contempt threats. The Epstein stonewalling shows she's protecting powerful figures at expense of victim transparency. The public attacks show she's willing to violate fair trial rights for political points. The dropped civil rights cases show she's weaponizing DOJ to serve Trump. The system is finally pushing back from all directions: courts through rebukes, Congress through contempt threats, former officials through condemnation. Bondi faces consequences for conduct that weaponizes Justice Department. The contrast between promising to punish monsters in some cases while protecting powerful figures in Epstein files exposes the selective justice. This is unfolding in late December 2025 as more Epstein files drop, as House weighs using aggressive, rarely used contempt power against a sitting attorney general. Unprecedented. The fundamental question is whether Bondi's tactics can survive pressure from all sides. The collapse is her facing consequences she can't escape, can't dismiss as partisan, can't control through her DOJ. The bombshell is the system pushing back simultaneously. Judges, Congress, former officials, all saying her conduct is unacceptable, all demanding accountability, all creating pressure she cannot withstand. Subscribe right now because this story is developing rapidly. The inherent contempt resolution could come to a vote in early January. Daily fines could begin immediately if it passes. Bondi would face escalating financial pressure until she releases the full Epstein files. The judicial rebukes will continue if she keeps making public attacks on defendants. The former official's condemnation will grow as more cases get dropped or weaponized. The collapse is accelerating, the pressure is mounting, and Bondi has no good options: release the files and potentially damage Trump, or face daily fines and growing condemnation. Stop the public attacks and lose her effectiveness as Trump's weapon, or continue them and face more judicial intervention. The walls are closing in from every direction, and unlike other Trump allies who faced pressure, Bondi can't just ignore it, can't delay indefinitely, can't use legal maneuvers to avoid consequences. Congress can impose fines directly. Judges can sanction prosecutors immediately. Former officials can speak publicly without restraint. The collapse is real. The bombshells are documented, and Bondi is running out of time and options. This is the system working. institutions pushing back against weaponization, courts protecting fair trial rights, Congress demanding transparency, former officials defending DOJ's mission, all of it converging on Bondi at once, creating pressure she cannot escape, forcing consequences she cannot avoid. That's the collapse, that's the bombshell, and it's just beginning. This story continues. Stay tuned.